Joining us now, CNN political commentators Karen Finney and David Urban. David, first to you. The expectations here are fraught with this underlying fight because this prime minister got the role that he's in because of Trump's tariffs and because of Trump calling Canada the 51st state. How is this going to go down, and how should this be handled? Because they are an ally and neighbor.
Yeah, look, Sarah, I agree. The Canadians to our north have been great military allies for many years, and they're a huge trading partner with the United States. But I think, again, that President Trump is looking to level the playing field. I'm not quite sure I agree with all Daniel Dale's numbers. And look, it's a place where I think that if you loved Prime Minister Trudeau, if you like Trudeau, you're going to love Carney, right, in terms of his policies and being extremely liberal. So I think that the current President Trump, loves to troll the very progressive leadership of the Canadian government in hopes that they will be forced to come to the negotiating table a little more quickly.
But David, in trolling them, he actually made a huge shift. The country was going conservative. He helped cause the huge shift. I mean, what do you make of that? Was this a good idea in the first place to level this kind of criticism?
Yeah, so listen, I think it's I think the criticism is fair. I think, obviously Mr. Poilievre is probably not so pleased. I'm sure he'd have loved to have been the prime minister rather than seeing Carney in there. And look, it's up to the Canadian people to determine who their prime minister is, not Donald Trump. I'm not quite sure Donald Trump's trolling, tilted the scales in one way or the other in a
the polling said
national election
it
in
did.
Canada. But
yeah, the polling said it did have an effect.
It certainly
it may have some
galvanized the
effect,
left
Sarah,
in
but I'm
that
not sure.
country.
Okay, go ahead, Karen.
Sorry, I was just going to say, I think what we saw is that it galvanized, as we're seeing, frankly, around the world, it's galvanizing Europe against the United States and with the threat of the tariffs, and it galvanized the left, it appears, in Canada. But I think the most important thing is, look, both men can come out of this meeting declaring a win. Trump's going to declare a win no matter what. Like, we could write that script right here. But I hope that it's a win for the United States, and that what happens is, we get some agreements that lower the burden that we've been hearing from our border governors who are trying to, in states that rely on Canada and trade. And let's hope that we get a deal that lowers the burden, that eases the pain that these tariffs are causing.
Yeah, we're going to be hearing from the governor of New Mexico, who will be in the House to talk about what is happening in her state when it comes to that. But David, go ahead and finish.
Sarah, I'm sorry, go ahead. Yeah, I was just going to say, it's no surprise that people like Canadians and other nation states that have been having a pretty good deal at the United States' expense are squealing a bit now that they're being squeezed to try to level the playing field. So, listen, I am not a free trader. I'm a fair trader. If we want to have level reciprocal tariffs, I think that's fair. I think that's acceptable. But a lot of countries have been taking advantage of the United States for years and years. And so now that the president's trying to level the playing field, of course they're squealing because things are not going in their favor. So whether there is pain because it's reshifting the paradigm to something that's more level than it used to be for the past 40, 50 years.
All right, let me ask you and move on to the Secretary of Education, who the Trump administration now disqualifying Harvard from future research grants. What do you make of this? The Secretary of Education, Linda McMahon, saying at its best, the university should fulfill the highest ideals of our nation and enlighten the thousands of hopeful students who walk through its magnificent gate, but Harvard has betrayed its ideal. What do you make of this, Karen, when you're looking at them taking away millions and millions of dollars from Harvard?
Well, it's going to hurt Americans, period, full stop. The research that is going on at our universities and institutions are critical, whether it's cancer research, whether it is, research about disease, other diseases. So, this is really cutting off our nose to spite our face. Look, the president is trying to enact an ideological agenda around things that what he considers woke, which is incredibly offensive. Diversity, equity, and inclusion is a core value of this country. It has been part of our American story from the beginning. But this is part of him imposing an ideological agenda. But most importantly, and what I think we can't lose focus on, this is an important fight, and Harvard is in it. But thematically, I think what's important and what I hope Democrats focus on is that this is not what people elected him to do. I mean, we were just talking about tariffs, which are causing a lot of economic pain. He was elected to lower inflation and lower costs. That was the number one issue in this election. So there are voters increasingly, Americans increasingly seeing we've got troops to Greenland and we're threatening, this one and that one. And yet they are saying, wait a second, we're seeing him put all this energy and effort into his revenge agenda, going after Harvard or going after people he thinks who've wronged him, but he's not lowering costs. And I think we have to keep our eyes on the prize when it comes to, what's really going on here, which is all these other things. They're not actually doing the job that he said he was going to do.
I'm going to have to leave it there, David. I know you have a lot to say about that.
Let me just real quick. So I applaud what President Trump's doing at Harvard. Listen, Harvard is a hedge fund that's teaching some kids, okay? They have billions of dollars, Sarah, billions of dollars of endowment. They are misusing U.S. taxpayers' dollars. They need to be held accountable.
No, they're not.
They have bloated bureaucracy. Karen, look at Bill Ackman.
David,
look at all these Harvard alumni who are up in arms. It is.
It's
they have billions.
Billions.
It is not fair.
To get to tell them.
Yeah, but they get. You know what, Karen, hold on, let me finish. They get billions of U.S. taxpayer dollars, which if you're looking to reallocate money for higher education, talking about higher education, there are plenty of state schools, community colleges, places across America that would be much better suited to get those taxpayer dollars than some filthy rich Ivy League institution that's billions in endowments, billions. Let's talk about taking their their subsidies, their tax exempt status away, and see how much they kowtow to the left or the right. They need to play it down the middle, Karen. Most universities are just out of touch with reality and out of touch with what America needs to be doing to educate our kids.
I will just say a lot of folks in the Trump administration graduated from Harvard. We are going to leave it there, David Urban and Karen Finney. We could talk for days about this, but John Berman is on his feet, and he is